Old man Woody likes the crooked cock.
So
Definitely.
you test all kinds of different steroids and SARMs and things like that, and then report back what works. How do you get it?
That's a good question, dude.
A question that we don't answer? I mean, you can say that if you need to.
Wait, isn't it legal unless you are playing
me
a sport
names.
or something?
So is there someone in your local universe that gets it? Is there some dark web website?
No, it's kind of like
We have
You
some
can go to
experts-
Silk Road. Yeah.
We have some expertise in mail order drugs here on the show too.
Yeah, like typically through like the best like indication I give is through bodybuilding forums. You sort of develop connections over the years through these guys that have the connections essentially, and you sort of just network with other bodybuilders and other people in this industry, and eventually you get to a point where if you're connected enough, you know the top labs in your country, you know what is reputable, what's not, what is, you know, producing good results, what's, you know, fucking people up and giving infections and stuff like that. And you sort of just weed it out from there. And some people have more access than others, obviously. And it kind of depends on who you know. Like for some people, I know some people who have friends in countries that have access to over-the-counter stuff. They just walk up to the counter and they order what they need. And then their friend ships it to them from like Greece or something, where you can just go up to a counter and, you know, buy some shit over the counter and get.
You can just buy that shit in Mexican pharmacies. I was there a few months ago, and you just pop right in, buy as much as you need. Mexican steroids.
Yeah, that's an example too. But nowadays, it's actually a lot easier to get access to pharmaceutical grade medication because there's all these hormone replacement therapy clinics popping up that back when I first got into bodybuilding really weren't a thing. It's becoming a lot more flexible with like optimization rather than just treating clinical deficiencies. So now, even if you're not, like I always talk about, you know, this guy probably goes to a hormone replacement therapy clinic in my videos, because nowadays you can literally do that. You can go in with on paper, like a normal level of testosterone and just be like, I have symptom of this, this, and this.
I identify as a much larger man.
Yeah. And like you were saying before, right, about how you can get 300 milligrams prescribed like super easily.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you say to them, like, hey, what would my levels need to be to get prescribed? And they're like, well, we look at the big picture. Levels are, of course, one thing we look at, but also, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Are you feeling like you want to pump some fucking iron? Wow.
So that's
Dr. Maximoff over here likes that. Likes that kind of attitude. Yeah. They're not.
So that's that it's becoming a lot more flexible in the past few years, especially with these HRT clinics where you can pretty much get optimized rather than have to show up and be legitimately super low T and be like clinically deficient to get a prescription. And a lot of these guys, they're focused on, well, some of them are just money driven. So they'll be like, here's your cookie cutter prescription of testosterone, this drug and this, and here's your overpriced Cialis, and here's this. You know what I mean? And they'll try and sell you as much as they can because the markup on pharmaceutical grade medication is just ridiculous. But some doctors, you know, they're still focused on optimization too. So it's not like back in the day where you'd have a guy closely monitor and make sure you're in that reference range of natural production still. They'll be like, okay, how do you feel? No, I'm not good enough yet. Okay, here's another 50 milligrams on top of what a doctor would have normally prescribed you however many years ago when this was less, I don't know, widely or mainstream accepted sort of thing. Now it's like, I don't know. It's kind of just like, it's not like the Wild West, but you have a lot more leeway in terms of what you prescribe. You don't need to be in this arbitrary reference range anymore. It's kind of
they're treating it more like, would you like another scoop, sir?
Yeah, like you can pretty much get
Well, people
all right.
with the cheese at Olive Garden.
Whipped cream
You
or
just
no?
tell me when to stop.
I've got a couple, or at least one funny video to pop onto, but I wanted to ask, when you're not getting geared up and lifting weights and making videos, what are some other things you enjoy doing? Just other hobbies?
To be honest, I work a fucking shit ton, but when I am not working, I usually just go out with my girl and, you know, do go for, I don't know, go find places to eat, basic shit. Like I'm nothing crazy exciting. Do whatever's.
You work outside of
fun to
YouTube?
do.
Or are you talking about YouTube?
No, yeah, I have a company that sells nootropics as well as like pre-workout formulas and stuff. So I basically I run that. I try to post daily on YouTube, which I'm sure you guys know is a fucking challenge in itself. What else? I do a lot of consultations too for like hormone optimization, stuff like that.
What's the name of your nootropic company, by the way?
Gorilla Mind.
Gorilla Mind. Okay.
Yeah. So like gorillamind.com is the main site right now. And then we also have gorillamode.com, which is where we feature the pre-workout formulas and stuff. And it's basically I put my name behind it in terms of the formulations, because it's not like we outsource it to some private label manufacturer that makes the formulas for a margin. It's like I literally sit down on a Word document and write out the formulas myself based on what I would use. And then like, sort of act as the chemist, quote unquote. And then I like formulate it, package it up, and then private label and sell it through the platform there. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about this. So you sound like you're familiar with the UFC. So when these fighters talk about using supplements like creatine specifically that is mixed in China, and they talk about how it could have been from a machine that previously had steroids or something else in there, and that could get contaminated, or they could test hot because they were just taking cheap creatine. Is that factual at all? Is that potentially real?
Yeah, it is, because I've actually a long time ago in some of our like original batch tests of like certain samples, we'd see that some of these labs, they would have, even the labs, sometimes they have trace amounts of residual shit they've tested in their machine that then pops, which is like, obviously, I don't know where the UFC specifically is getting their analysis done, but I've seen labs that I've paid myself to have third-party testing done be inconsistent in their results with the exact same supplement.
Yeah.
So like I've paid to get this stuff done before too, and it's like it's definitely possible to have like minuscule amounts spike on something, but I think a lot of the times it's a cover up for like trying to get away with something, because these athletes are so aware of the risks of these supplements that it's like, would you be so dumb as to use some random company's creatine when your fucking career depends on you not getting popped? Like
all I'm hearing is undefeated, undisputed.
Yeah. So like for me, I would, if I was a fighter, that would be like, to me, that seems like a cop out for you just didn't like circumvent the testing very well in most cases.
TJ Dillashaw's in it. I heard TJ Dillashaw talk about popping hot. He popped hot for EPO. And something about EPO I think is particularly difficult to deny. Like there's no people don't accidentally pop hot for EPO. So he just owned it. But to hear him talk about how well he was tested and all the different levels of, I don't know what they all were, but like different levels of chemicals in his bloods to make sure that his training was going well. They used it as a way to monitor overtraining. And it's like the level of testing he did seemed like that of someone who was taking lots of steroids and gear.
I'll tell you who's not testing right now, and that's USADA. USADA is not testing these guys right now because of the corona thing. It's time to juice up. Time to juice up, boys. Let's go, John. Let's go.
Oh, he's way ahead of you, Kyle.
Oh, I hope so. I don't care. I want John on juice. That's best John.
Maybe he'll get a take.
I ended on that note. I love the wordplay.
That was the best shit I've ever heard.